Hey, what's up guys? It's Taylor and Jeff. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. We're back with some wedding content, but not the content that you probably want. We don't have our wedding video yet.
Soon.
Yes, soon. But you can watch our wedding video teaser right here. We don't have our wedding stuff yet. We've been married for what? 4.5 months?
Almost 5.
Yeah, wow.
Look at that. Before we release our wedding videos, Taylor posted on his Instagram wedding questions that we are going to answer today. In no particular order.
In no particular order, we asked you, what do you want to know about our wedding? Well, we're gonna tell you. Before we get started, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you watch the rest of our videos and
interact with us.
Keep up with us. Yeah, I guess let's just get into it. So first question, take it away.
Question 1, where did you get married?
Good question.
Good question. Okay, we got married at June Farms. So that is where Taylor proposed to me. So it has some history, as we like to say. And we just fell in love with it from the first weekend we were there. We would have loved it even if we didn't get engaged there or married there. We just loved the damn place.
So June Farms is a farm slash glamping sort of experience, upstate New York, just outside of Albany. It's just a really special place to us.
We loved it.
So June Farms.
Question 2.
Question number 2. What made you choose to do black tie? Hot question, actually. So,
actually that's wrong.
Oh.
It was black tie optional.
Well, it wasn't optional.
But we threatened our friends.
So I had always wanted to have a black tie wedding. I love getting like dressed up to the nines, you know? I wanted our wedding to be an experience that people felt like they were going to the gosh darn Golden Globes, you know? I wanted it to feel like everyone likes to get dressed up. Sure, it is somewhat inconvenient and sometimes can be a little expensive, although it doesn't have to be. I just felt like it was the vibe, and I wanted everyone else to feel like
elevated. We wanted it to feel special. Also, we loved the juxtaposition of like being on a farm, but also being like dressed in gowns and tuxes. Also, after COVID, like no one's getting dressed up in like gowns and tuxes, so like it was that much more special. Question 3. Give us all the deets on the suits.
Ooh. That's a good one.
Good question. We ended up doing custom tuxes from Suit Supply.
Yes.
We went into the store, we got measured, we picked the lapels and the color and the lining and what it says on the inside flap and the back flap and all that good stuff.
Something no one really saw. On the back of our collars, we had the date we were getting married. I had I do on mine, something like that. It was just like super fun and custom, and we got to like go get fitted, things like that. After the ceremony, we changed into white tuxedo dinner jackets. Those were Ralph Lauren. We got those off the rack, but we did get them custom tailored to us.
That was fun.
That was all the deets. That was all the deets on the suits.
Yeah.
Tuxes.
Yeah.
Okay, question 4. How'd you decide who got invited and who didn't?
Ooh,
I don't know. There was nobody that didn't get invited. I think you might have had some family friend extensions that just didn't make sense. But everyone that I wanted to invite, I believe got invited.
That was one area that we didn't struggle too much on in terms of like, do we invite them or not? Like we were always pretty much on the same page. We knew we didn't want nor could afford like a 300, 500 person wedding. We knew we wanted it to be under 200, around 150.
Yeah.
So things just kind of fell into place in that regard.
Yeah, I don't have like a large net of friends and family. I keep it pretty small, and I feel like where a lot of people get sidetracked here on this topic is like the politics of family friends. You know what I mean? Which luckily I didn't have any part of.
Also, I feel like when we get a wedding invite in the mail, we want to be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so fun. Can't wait to go. I'm just saying, like, you want everyone who's there to be excited to go and come and be there.
Okay, moving on.
Next question. Does having a wedding planner make things less stressful?
Wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know.
Would not know. The good thing is all of our vendors had like a coordinator.
Like a day of coordinator.
But no one was planning it.
Yeah.
Which, we did it.
Oh, we did.
We did it. Would I have maybe liked to have someone help and like feel less stressed? Sure. But we met with 2 wedding planners, and just the cost, I'm not saying it's not worth it, but the cost of just someone to like plan.
Mm-hmm. So we had no one that was like, here's the rundown of events, the run of show, the calendar, the timing. We did all that. We had someone who like was an umbrella of like designer, florist.
Yeah, which we'll get to. Oh, I did get this question a lot. Did we get any promotions for the wedding? We actually did not. We chose not to. We didn't want to work with brands on that day with the expectation, with any expectation to deliver something or sell out in that moment. Mm-hmm.
We wanted to just enjoy our day and like celebrate our love and our marriage, not
work.
We
didn't want to feel like we owed someone something on that specific day either. Like it just wasn't the vibe. Also, when if you're like doing something for trade or whatever, it's like, are they gonna work as hard as they would if I was just paying them? Like we just wanted it to be completely real.
Yeah.
Next question.
What was the most emotional moment? I have 2.
Okay.
First is during the ceremony, reading and listening to vows. Because, there's a lot of like operational logistic things in a wedding, and the vows are like the one part where you actually speak from your heart and tell the person how you feel and hear how the other person that you're marrying feels about you. So it's the most vulnerable and emotional moment. The second for me, especially now looking back with everything that happened, is our mother-son dance for me. Just because like I grew up always with my mom and me dancing in my kitchen, and like that was just something we did together, and that was like our last dance that we had together.
Which is very special.
Yeah.
I would say my most emotional moment, I have 2 as well, were reading the vows, because you're very vulnerable. Like reading vows, like
in front of everyone too,
is like vulnerable. So like I'm spilling out my heart. You've never heard it, so I'm like doing it live. So that was a lot, but wouldn't change it for anything. And then the second moment was walking with my mom down the aisle. Like I just felt, I was more excited for her. I loved having her with me, but she didn't get that kind of moment in her life, and like my siblings didn't get to have that moment with her. So it was just a very special thing that I was like, we deserve this together. We deserve this moment, and it was very emotional.
Great.
All right, next question. What is something you wish you spent more money on or less money on? All of it and all of it. No, I don't know. There's a few budgeting questions on here, so we'll dive more into the budgeting or lack thereof. But I think if I could have spent more money, I would have spent more money on the welcome party. Like it was so good already, but if we could have just like,
if I could have spent more money, I would have made it longer.
Yeah, like a whole week. Yeah, so extending it. It was just like the greatest day ever.
I think we looked into that at one point, and I mean it was immediately a non-starter because it was like, and you have to pay every single vendor, and overtime fees, like extending the band an hour was astronomical. Video, photographer, venue, caterer, it was just
I don't think I would have extended it longer that night. You didn't even make it to the length that there was.
What are you talking about?
And if I could have spent less money, I would have just spent less money. I don't know.
I would have gotten eloped on the beaches of Fiji.
Yeah, I don't know. It was so perfect that I wouldn't have.
It was worth every penny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. What did you disagree on the most in regards to wedding planning? So we had a little surprise performance from an Elphaba. Jessica VOSK sang at our wedding. And I remember when I first floated the idea to you, you were very against it.
I was very against it because, and I have a different opinion now, but I'll tell you where my head was at in the first place.
Okay.
It's not your wedding. It's not Jessica VOSK's wedding. It's not, I didn't want the attention away from us, to be honest. And so that's where my head was. And then when it happened, I'm like so glad it happened. It was just like an truly extra level of us. And
it was the most us thing ever. And Jessica VOSK is the most sickening vocalist that she truly made the day.
She's great. And she was phenomenal, and it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was not keen on the idea.
Right, and now it's like I couldn't imagine not doing that.
That's what I watched the most videos of, I think. I was gonna say the favors. I wasn't sold on favors, and we didn't do favors.
No,
we did.
Instead of doing favors, we paid for everyone's drinks at the welcome party and the after party. Yeah, so we figured rather than getting a little matchbox or a thing of mints or something that would sit on people's desks or in the garbage, we'd rather buy you more drinks or something.
Also, sound off in the comments. Are favors a thing of the past? I'm curious. How did you get Jessica VOSK to sing at your wedding?
What a great segue. Okay, so I have a very dear friend, Ben Rahala, who we met in college. He was the music director for when I did Next to Normal, and we worked together in the city a lot, singing at concerts. He's works on Broadway in the biz, and he is very good friends with her. And so I first had this conversation with Ben, I need an Elphaba to sing Defying Gravity at my wedding. And he was like, I'm on it.
Our wedding.
Our wedding, yeah. And he was like, I'm on it. So obviously Jessica was at the top of the list, and then one thing leads to another. She was free, booked. And that's how it happened.
So it was sort of our wedding gift from Benny.
It was our wedding gift from Ben.
Next question.
Anything you wish you had done, but didn't?
I wish I would have danced more with our moms. For many reasons, but I was truly just having the time of my life, and I was around with everyone. I was just trying to be with everyone, and I think in my mind, since we had been with our parents all day and they had a part in our ceremony, it was oh, let's go be with our friends, and so I just wish we were more crazy with our parents.
Yeah.
But also that's not
it's just the
our
day
parents.
is so overwhelming because all of the people you love are in the same room that you just feel like you can't get enough time with any single person because there's 160 people there, all your favorite people, and you want to spend time with everyone, and there's just not enough minutes in the hour.
This video is going to be so long because
I know.
I just want to talk about it, and it is for people who are getting married, it really is. We have some really good insights. Okay. How long did it take for you to write your vows? I wrote mine over time, but I'm a pretty good writer and I'm pretty in tune with my emotions. And so I knew what I wanted to say. It was just how can I make this sound so good?
Whereas I sometimes struggle with words, and it takes me a while to, communicate exactly how I feel or what I want to say. So I went through different phases. I wrote bullet points of little one-liners I wanted to say. Then I built off of that over 2 months. 2 months is my answer, Alex.
Yeah, mine is if I had to put all the time together, 3 hours. All over time, over 2 months, let's say. Okay. And they still slapped, didn't they? All right, next question.
What was the most stressful part of the wedding? Can I answer for you?
No. So I never had any Groomzilla moments, except maybe one. And it was when we were, so where we got married, the ceremony spot, we were hidden at the ceremony spot while our guests were arriving because we wanted to come from behind without anyone seeing us. So while the guests are arriving, we see the guests start trickling in. So we are like, okay, bus 1 is here. Then one of Jeff's groomsmen, a very good friend of ours, comes running to our cabin. Oh my God, one of the buses just crashed. That's it. One of the buses just crashed. Okay, it's 20 minutes before we're about to say I do. And I hear one of the buses crashed. So I'm freaking out. What he meant to say was one of the buses sideswiped a tree as they were entering the property. So that was the most stressful moment for me.
Yeah. There was a moment where we couldn't find our white jackets right before we were about to walk into the tent.
That was crazy.
And I was like, where are our jackets?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Because we put them in a very specific spot.
So we could just quick change.
And someone moved them. But yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, was it very emotional or just pure joy? Did anyone get choked up? I cried a couple times. I cried reading my vows. I cried walking down the aisle. I cried seeing you walk down the aisle. I didn't cry walking down the aisle. My mom cried. Enough for both of us. And then I cried when I saw you coming down the aisle with your parents. Overall, it was such pure joy, but joy is an emotion. So it was very, very emotional, in this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. The whole day. It was like, it's like adrenaline.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is adrenaline. I cried when I hugged my parents, bye at the end of the aisle once they walked to me and they
gave you away.
They gave me away. And then I got choked up reading vows, but I didn't have full on tears. Oh, and we both cried when my dad talked about my aunt.
Oh yeah. And your mom.
Yeah. All right, next question. What was a small detail that became more and more important as the planning process progressed?
I think this might not be the answer you're looking for, but the colors, the color scheme became more and more important because as the decorations and as the vibe developed, we had to make decisions on what the colors of things would be and what the font color of things would be, but we're like, okay, well, we can't pick the color of the menu until we know the color of the tablecloth and you know what I mean?
Also,
if that makes sense.
I agree. I have a different answer, and it's the weather. Because when we started planning, almost 2 years, a year and a half before, we were like, oh, this will be here. We'll get married under the trees. But as we got closer, we started looking at the forecast, and thank God it was a beautiful day. But I don't know what we would have done if it had rained.
Next question. How do you feel now that all the stress of the wedding is over? I'll go first.
Okay.
The moment it ended, I was ready to do it again. It was very stressful and it was a lot. It didn't cause any problem, but it was very stressful. Mm-hmm. But after you're planning for so long. We had 2 years of planning and then we had this huge wedding. And then when it's over, you're like, all right, I'm supposed to go relax on a honeymoon now? Yeah. What do you mean? I'm supposed to have calls with vendors. I'm supposed to be
We poured our heart and soul into this wedding for a year and a half. That when it was over, it was a slight sigh of relief that it was perfect and went off without a hitch, minus the bus crash. But it was when can we do that again?
Yeah, we're okay, my 30th is coming up, so we'll plan that. So yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys have any signature cocktails? What were they? Man, I can't wait for the videos to come out because all of these questions are going to be highlighted and answered. I had we both had specialty cocktails. Mine was Jeff's Dirty Vodka Martini, a classic dirty martini, shaken, not stirred, yada yada, in a lovely martini glass. One of the best martinis I've ever had.
The bar was
poppin'.
Was truly unreal.
Yeah.
I had a specialty cocktail as well. It was a picante, which is a spicy margarita, not really margarita. It's more of a spicy tequila soda, sort of. Less triple sec and less sour, more spicy.
My little spicy guy.
Next question. How did you decide who walked down the aisle first?
Good question.
How did we decide? I think you just
offered. to go first, which was nice of you. Yeah, I mean, Taylor's mom walked him down, and both my parents walked me down, so it was a really nice moment that just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Next question. What did you do with the wedding party? How did you decide if they stood with you? Did they stand with you, etc.?
We had them stand with us. And I think...
This was a debate, though.
Yeah.
Because they were maybe going to sit in the front row, not stand with us.
We weren't going to have a party at all. Like, that was a topic that we had. I think there's a video on that as well. But honestly, once we found those bridesmaids dresses... Thank you, ASOS.
Game over.
I was like, these sexy ladies are getting up here. It's going full. I mean, it was models on models on models.
There's also just something so beautiful about like people standing in a line wearing the same thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we love our friends, but it looked magnificent in like the woods.
And also like being up there, it was about us, but it is. Not that this would have changed, but like in theory, like you're having this very vulnerable, beautiful moment, and it's nice to feel like the support of all of the people that mean so much to you, literally standing next to you, and like watching our video back, watching our bridesmaids and groomsmen like cry or whatever, like when Parker came down the aisle and my like best one was jumping up and down. It was just like it's just great because those are our most important people. For many families, this was likely their first gay wedding. What were their reactions? It would actually not...
Great question.
Yeah, not many families. It was most people. It was my first gay wedding.
It was my first gay wedding, too.
Most people, I feel like it was their first gay wedding.
Totally. I know, like, everyone on my side, it was 100% their first gay wedding. I think we also chose our officiant, our very good friend Jamie, who I grew up with. I mean, at least in my mind, she was always the perfect choice because I knew that she just had like a very like natural, outgoing personality that made people feel super comfortable. The biggest feedback from the wedding was, oh my gosh, I felt so much love in that room. Yeah. Like all of your friends were so nice. Everyone was so welcoming, which is just a testament to
our friends,
gay people.
So I was never nervous. I'm not saying that you were, but I was never nervous that anyone would feel weird about it. I think my first thought when that question came up was like there was a lot of comments like, oh, the gays are like, you know, go crazy, which is great because that was good. But then after you said your answer, there was a lot of people, specifically a lot of my family, a lot of my friends' parents that came that called me or texted me after the wedding, and they're like, oh my God, like I just have to let you know all of your friends were amazing. That was the first time in my life I had been around people like XYZ or whatever, and it just like they were saying how beautiful it was and how eye-opening and like beautiful of an experience it was to be surrounded by, you know, the LGBTQIA plus umbrella family. I'm from a pretty conservative area in the Midwest. Like,
me too.
Yeah, it was a lot of people's first time being in that environment. And
at a gay bar.
And having it being so filled with love and like beauty, it was really special. Okay, next question. How did you determine the menu?
We wanted it to be a little different. I feel like, you know, every wedding you go to, it's like the same menu. We wanted it to be traditional, but a little bit different, a little bit more character. So we decided to do like a duo plate. So rather than giving people 3 options, we gave everyone the same thing, but you got a surf and turf. You got a piece of filet and you got scallops, both in like wine sauces. We actually went to a tasting at our caterer and we tried these goat cheese mashed potatoes that were so good, we were like, must have. So yeah, it was a long process, at least for me.
I got so overwhelmed because luckily we had like a really, really great caterer, but they also gave us, it wasn't like package A, package B, package C, which is good. We didn't want that. They were able to create so many things that I was like, this is simply overwhelming. It all sounds good. Pick what you like. I picked like 2 things I was like, that I need, and then everything else was really you. But the food was insane. From cocktail hour to the after party, it was insane.
Next question. Did you have a budget and did you stick to it?
I do not remember ever having a budget.
We were
and that's not like we don't have a budget.
No.
That was a stupid thing of us.
We kind of just went into the whole process being like, let's see how much this is going to cost.
Yeah, we found our vendors and we're like, okay, we definitely want that person. We definitely want that person.
Yeah.
So I guess our budget is what the total of this is.
Yeah, we also had no idea. Like,
Yeah.
we had no idea what things were going to cost, so it was hard to be like, let's set X amount of dollars as a budget because that could have been so off.
Yeah, we didn't have a budget and we did not stick to a budget.
We should have. Yeah, another pro was like we had a really long engagement, which allowed us to save a lot.
We got engaged in January of 2020, and then we booked the photographer in March 2020. You know what I mean? But we didn't get married until September 2021.
So we spread payments out
we had
over
payment
a
plans,
long time. Yeah.
which made it feel, that's why
More
it felt,
digestible.
yeah. How much did the wedding cost, if you feel comfortable telling us? If not, can you give us some vendor estimates for us that are planning? So one thing I do like to keep private is there's not necessarily a reason to talk about finances a lot, but just to be transparent, we can tell you the cost of things that you could easily email and find out. So like for our photographer and videographer, our videographer, we got the highest package, and for both the photographer and videographer, we paid an extra fee to purchase the rights to all of the photos and videos. That way we could share them and post them and put them on YouTube or put them on Patreon or whatever. Because, fun fact, usually when you're getting married, the photographer or videographer usually retains the rights to all of those images, just FYI. But due to the nature of our work, we wanted to own that all outright. So I believe our videographer for the top package, which included like 14 videos,
2 shooters.
yeah, it was a lot. Like, we got a lot. And
Yeah.
I think it was $9,540.
Also broken up into 4 payments over the course of 2 years. So it felt like...
Photographer, which included 2 shooters, all of the photos we got,
9 hours?
plus an engagement shoot, 10 hours. I believe was $6,500.
Something like that.
Our caterer
That was a lot.
was $30,000. No, it was cheaper than that. There was a fee for COVID based on like spacing,
Social
but
distancing.
that didn't happen. So I think it ended up being like $25,000.
Mm-hmm.
Band was originally $9,500. We had to pay extra because they had to travel. So that ended up being around $11,000. And the other ones are things that we built with. So our designer, the florals, the decorations, that was all custom. So like that's
Our suit or our tuxes were like
$1,300, $1,200.
Were they that much?
I think so.
We like treated our bridesmaids to hair and makeup for the day of. That was like
$100 a person.
yeah.
So yeah, so
it's all these little things that add up.
Yeah, it's a lot. But if you can have a long engagement, honestly, it
One of the
makes
big pros.
it makes the planning and the budgeting so much better.
Next question, what was the overall theme of the wedding? Great question. We talked about this a lot to try and stay on track in terms of like the whole vibe of the night. So we kind of landed upon like Ralph Lauren meets Tom Ford meets Taylor Swift's folklore.
Yeah, we wanted that like masculine
Glam.
textured glam with like the forest, because June Farms was so special to us, and we really absolutely killed. It was Ralph Ford Swift is what it was. You know? Were you ever scared of the weather? Nope. Didn't think about it. What was gonna happen was gonna happen, and I didn't think about it.
But we were so lucky that there was not a cloud in the sky.
Not a cloud in the sky. Okay.
Next question. Do you remember what you were thinking when you saw the other person walk down the aisle?
Did you black out at all? Like, were you like...
No,
Really?
I made it a point to stay as present as I possibly could because I didn't want to black out.
Yeah.
Except for the after party. I just remember, obviously, I was behind you, so I was like, oh my god, it's happening.
Yeah,
This is the start of the show.
I was like, wow, this is really happening. When you were walking down the aisle, I obviously was thinking about your mom a lot and how like special that moment was. Yeah, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. I was really, in my back of my mind, I was like, can you get up here? Because this is weird. Everyone's like staring at me. I was just like so happy the whole time.
Me too.
Okay. This has been the hottest of hot questions. Were you wearing socks with those shoes? Guys, we were wearing socks.
They were just like ankle socks.
Yeah, or like no-shows. They weren't ankle
Yeah.
socks. But like, that was like such a weird like phenomenon of people asking that question. We did have socks on.
Yeah.
We did.
It was just like summer and I didn't want like ankle highs. Like.
And that's that on our wedding.
And that's that. I stand by it 100%.
I felt like before I would hear people say, my wedding was the best day of my life. And I just didn't believe them. I just didn't. I was like, there's no way. Have you been to Pride? Have you been to Coachella? Have you held a new baby? Like, I just felt there were so many moments that I thought were so great, which still were, that like, and also I knew what the stress going into like weddings was. I was like, there's no way.
But nothing really compares.
Oh my God. It was the single greatest moment of my entire life. And I do not know how it will ever, maybe holding our first child.
Hot tip, get married.
That answers quite a few questions that you guys had for us about our wedding. And if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Give us your hot takes on any of our responses in the comments as well. I would love to hear what people's ideas are in the wedding world. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you get all of the wedding footage when it comes up.
Soon.
Hopefully soon. And we will see you guys in the next video.
Bye guys.